everyone, we're back for a new episode of Viva Tech 15, your weekly show to catch up on tech news from all around the world and mind-blowing innovations. Before we start, if you like what you're seeing and you don't want to miss the next episodes, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Today, we are heading for Africa. We're welcoming one of the continent's most recognized leaders. She was named Top 100 Influential Africans in Tech, Science and Innovation. She's also the founder and CEO of AppsTech, an enterprise software solution. Tech influencer, investor and executive. Our guest today is Rebecca Enonchong. We will also have a little surprise for you today as we are officially launching free awards for African startups. So stay with us to get the chance to win one of them during Viva Tech in June. So before we welcome Rebecca, grab your coffee or tea and let's start with Insider. So guess what? Which continent has the highest growth rate in the world right now when it comes to startups? Africa, of course. A staggering 273% growth on fundings was realized only last year. And where did this happen? The top 3 countries are Nigeria, Egypt and South Africa. Big players, of course, which is a good thing because I was in Brussels 2 weeks ago for the Africa-European Summit and the topic of the debt was on the table and also the growth of the continent. Definitely where startups could help, but they need investments. The good news is the usual 100 million glass ceiling of funding has finally exploded and Flutterwave, a skyrocketing fintech, has recently raised $250 million for a total valuation of above $3 billion. Another good news is that since the beginning of the year, already more than 1 billion in funds have been raised, meaning that the trend is already here. So while the Africa-European Summit highlighted the necessity to boost African trade between countries on the continent by investing in infrastructure and access to global markets, it seems that there's definitely some room for innovation here and for startups to grab some funds and ride the growth wave in Africa. Well, all of this sounds very promising from my perspective, but let's call Rebecca now to dig in. It's time for the kitchen talk. Hello, Rebecca. Welcome to the kitchen. It's great to have you on the show.
Great to be here. I'm so excited. Thank you.
So where are you joining us from?
From Douala, Cameroon, where it's super warm.
Oh, you're so lucky. So Rebecca, for those who don't know you, so you've been a tech entrepreneur for the past 20 years in Africa, tech influencer, investor, and a leader, I could say, in Africa. So probably my first question, would you say if there is a global African tech sector, or are we still looking at different geographies like, Northern Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa? What do you see?
So I think that there is, we can talk about an African tech ecosystem. And one example of that is an organization called AfriLabs, which is a network of technology hubs, innovation centers across the African continent. And it has 320 members in 51 African countries, supporting a community of over 1.5 million tech entrepreneurs. And so, yes, there's a lot of cross-border collaboration from east to west, from north to south. And so, yes, but you will see differences in the different regions.
Thank you, Rebecca. That's great to hear. So what differentiates Africa, when it comes to tech from other continents?
So we're very lucky in that we don't have to use legacy systems. So we're starting from scratch. And so, we can innovate and we can create, look at the leapfrogging, for instance, with mobile. We never had fixed lines. We went straight to mobile. And it's a similar case across different sectors.
Right. So I know that countries like Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa were, quite the early winners in the tech race. So who is next? What are the winners that you see coming from which regions? What would you say?
So I would have added Egypt to that list. And, now we're really starting to see some traction in Francophone West and Central Africa, which has been a very underrepresented region as far as tech in the tech ecosystem. But really, we've seen a lot of new traction, a lot of investment going into that sector.
Right, that is really great to hear. So what would you say, what are the most promising sectors that you see right now for tech startups?
I think that obviously fintech is huge. Fintech is huge on the African continent only because it's the second wave after mobile. Remember that we did not go through in Africa, we didn't get fixed lines, right? So we went straight to mobile. And just in the same way, we're going straight to electronic payments, to mobile money. And so we're skipping the traditional banking sector. And I think that that is something that is particularly important right now is the whole fintech. But we also have lots of other industries that we see progress in: health tech, agri-tech, which have really grown on the sector on the continent.
Sounds really exciting. Rebecca, what would be the one thing that you think people misunderstand about African tech?
I think that they often assume that we're not ready for technology, right? They're thinking, oh, they need water, they need electricity. Why are they bothering with technology? And I think that they forget that technology is an enabler for all of those sectors. And so with technology, we can make water more available. We can make electricity more available. We can make content more available to more people.
That's fantastic, brilliant. I think there should be this change of mindset and look at Africa, with a new perception. Rebecca, we spoke about the continent, we spoke about the ecosystems on the continent in the various regions. Now let's talk about you. So you are a quite renowned entrepreneur, and you said something like, I have to be crazy to be an entrepreneur. So why did you say that? So is it really crazy to be an entrepreneur in Africa?
Oh my God. So I always say, to be an entrepreneur, you have to be crazy. To be an entrepreneur in Africa, you have to be raving mad. Because if you look at the conditions, the conditions under which we have to build viable businesses and compete against companies and startups across the world, you really see that it's essential that people understand how difficult it really is. We have so many struggles that people don't even dream of. For instance, being connected to the internet for a conversation like the one we're having now, you have to go through so many hoops. You have so many secondary internet connections. Because everything is prepaid, you're hoping that your internet connection doesn't go off in the middle of the conversation. The cost of some of these conversations for African entrepreneurs is extremely high. So, some of those challenges, and then you have regulatory challenges where our authorities haven't yet really understood the benefits of this sector and the digital economy. And so they put so many constraints to building on the continent. And so, yeah, it's really tough. And if you really look at all the challenges before you go into it, you may not do it. So I'm really excited to see how resilient our tech community is.
Fantastic. So you spoke about the challenges, but very briefly, maybe that's my last question, Rebecca. So what would be the one, the toughest, challenge for entrepreneurs today?
I think the challenge is, we always talk about funding. It's so difficult to get funded as an entrepreneur anywhere in the world. It's not a challenge that's unique to Africans, but it's more difficult for Africans because most of the funding does not come from Africa, and that really needs to change. And so we're really working on finding ways for more of the capital that's going into African startups to come from Africa. Because obviously, we are competing for capital with startups in Silicon Valley, startups in Paris. And so it's, given how difficult it is for startups anywhere in the world, it's definitely a greater challenge for African startups, but we're looking to change that.
Right, fantastic. That's brilliant. It was great to have this conversation with you, Rebecca. Thank you so much for your time, and hopefully see you next June. in Paris.
Yes, thank you, Asha. See you in June for sure.
All right, looking forward. Cheers, Rebecca. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, it's now time for me to officially launch the AfricaTech Awards. With the support of the International Finance Corporation, the IFC, VivaTech is launching free awards for promising startups that will contribute significantly to African growth in three key sectors: climate, health, and finance. So, if you're a startup listening to us right now, or you know someone in Africa who would be perfect for this and operating in one of those three sectors, climate, health, and finance, this is your chance. 3 startups for each category, 9 in total, will be invited for free to exhibit on our AfricaTech Lab to pitch their company.
Technology is transforming the world at an unprecedented rate. It's also creating unprecedented opportunity to drive development and build a more sustainable and equitable future. This opportunity to harness tech for good is especially pronounced in Africa, where the digital revolution is well underway. Tech startups are transforming the continent and addressing critical issues like climate change, food security, and financial inclusion. These startups are also creating hundreds of thousands of new jobs, especially for young people, and they are making African economies more competitive on a global stage. All told, Africa's digital economy has the potential to reach $180 billion by 2025. But to fully unlock this potential, entrepreneurs, investors, and governments will need to align their efforts. To support this, IFC is partnering with Viva Tech to launch the AfricaTech Awards, an initiative to help grow the most impactful startups on the continent. So, if you are an African startup pursuing innovative solutions in the health tech and climate tech and fintech space, I encourage you to apply. Hopefully, I will get to see you in June on the Viva Tech stage. Good luck and see you in June. Bye.
You have until March 25th to apply online. We're putting the link below. And now let's hear about this week's most exciting innovations with Alexi in the Tech Radar. Alexi, what happened here? What did you do in my kitchen?
Yeah, I'm really sorry. It's kind of a mess, but I promise I'll clean up afterwards.
Okay, I'll check.
So, as you know, I think AfricaTech has a very long history at VivaTech, and every year we see many projects from this very rich ecosystem, and every year I'm really surprised by their projects. So today I wanted to present to you some projects that are coming from this ecosystem, and the first one that I really love is called Gjenge, and it's actually a social company by an African woman, a founder, that is actually doing recycled plastic and making like little bricks that are twice as strong as concrete.
Smart.
Yeah, because the big idea is to say that plastic cannot be endlessly recycled. So instead of doing single-use things out of recycled plastic, let's say, things that last in really long time. So what I love about it as well is that they're kind of working with the overall ecosystem and challenges of the area. They're, for instance, giving employment to more than 100 people from marginalized backgrounds, young people, women, and all these kind of things. And
very inspiring.
Yeah, I think that since they started, they've transformed more than 20 tons of recycled plastic into bricks. So it's wonderful. You have to check it out.
Brilliant.
The second project that I love is called Yolk. And basically, it's a startup that is doing this little solar co, which are these kind of solar charging stations. And the big idea behind it is that they're putting these kind of stations in schools and off-grid areas. And they're asking the children to have these little portable batteries that they can charge while they are studying. And then when they finish school, they can take home with them this little battery and provide the family with electricity.
This is great. So it pushes the parents actually to send their kids to school.
Exactly, because many children apparently, from what I heard from the team, have to stay home to work with the parents. So it gives basically motivation to send children to school.
That's fantastic.
And I wanted to present to you these two guys. And these basically are amazing creatures, I'm sure that you've seen. The idea is that its robots are developed by the French company that's called EyePick.
Okay.
And they're developing their super smart robots that are pretty much plug and play. So as you see, it's really out of the box that they can start making demonstrations. And the big idea behind it is that, we've just set it up in just 30 minutes. And it can basically completely adapt, do our next meal and different things on the interactions that it can do.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can see it moving right now.
Cool. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It takes a little bit of space in the kitchen though, but it looks very smart. So you can cook food, you can do a lot of things. Why would you use this?
The kind of big example of this today is to show that we can obviously make meals. Your next meal, I'll just bring you the bowl when it's finished. But the idea is that the little ones that you think there have these little blue fingers that I can also manipulate fruits or vegetables and pack them or do meals, but without harming them, because basically they have also issues with different, vegetables are really fragile things that we can be using. So if I take the bowl here, for instance, and
put a new one
back here, like moving just like this, you'll see that what we love about it is that it's not only a robot that do any task, but as you can see, it's completely adapting and understanding the environment.
They adjust.
Exactly. They completely adjust, and they're I could have put the bowl or do different things. But as we're seeing right now, they're going to be basically doing the same task, but in a different environment. And what I love about it is that we talk a lot about robotics and robot doing single tasks, but we have many challenges about having these robots interact with people and cobots, and if we were to, do different things in the kitchen right now, they could adapt and not just be completely blocked because we move something around.
That's crazy. It's really great.
That's it for me today.
Oh, that's great. But, Alexia, I prefer my husband cooking in the kitchen. It's better.
Understand.
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you
Thanks
for sharing. And I'm excited to see what comes up next week.
Yeah, me too. Me too, actually.
So that's it. We are almost done. So see you next week, Alexi. And I'll leave you with Rebecca in the Speakeasy. Cheers. Bye.
Oh, tech gadget. Oh, my Aura ring. My Aura ring, which, tells me about lots of different health metrics. But yes, definitely the Aura ring is my favorite tech gadget right now. Oh my goodness, it's like 2000. Oh my goodness, the tech entrepreneurs that I work with, some of the startup entrepreneurs that I work with, they're so resilient and building in such difficult conditions that they're really an inspiration to me. I would, if I could change one thing in the world, it would probably be to bring peace to all nations. Drink. Why would anybody choose that? Drink for sure. Cameroon. English. It's easier for me. Oh my goodness, La Tata Nacional. Yeah, that's my nickname on Cameroon social media. Because they're respectful, so they call me auntie. They don't want to call me Rebecca, so because I'm like their grandma or their mother. I'm so much older than most of the people and the young people I interact with. So they call me Tata, and they call me La Tata Nacional. Oh my goodness, I can't believe we found that. Yes.